Who do you think leaves the bigger void? Is it Gronk or AB?
I think this is an easy one because, don't get me wrong, I think AB is a great talent and great player. And Max, I'm going to steal your argument here, but you still got a #1 receiver in Pittsburgh. With Gronk, you don't have the immediate replacement. So I think this is an easy argument. It's got to be the person who's going to be missed the most is Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, and I agree with that from this standpoint. I think we watched him catch the passes, and we've seen him be such a big red zone threat, but he's also probably the best inline blocker we've seen at the tight end position that actually could be dual threat outside. You can split him out, right? You can put him into the box, and now when you run play action or when you run the ball to him, he's not a liability. He's a guy who can block. He can be an extra pass blocker, and he's always been great either forcing the defensive end out so we can get up inside, or being able to reach the defensive end so we can get outside and stretch the field. And so having a guy who can do both of those things, we've kind of gotten away from that in this league, right? We went to the basketball player who can play football, and that's become our tight end so we can throw the ball to him. But they lose part of their identity when you lose Rob Gronkowski. It's not just about the numbers. It's not just about the statistics, the red zone catches, the big-time catches like we saw against Kansas City late in the game. It was what he was able to do from a physicality standpoint. And Rob Gronkowski, more than anybody, really epitomizes what the New England Patriots are, right? They're a team where you do what you have to do to win. He could have been places, and it could have been all about catching passes, could have been all about doing the pretty things. But Rob Gronkowski was a football player. And so when it was Sony Michel and when it had to be Burkhead and when those guys had to win football games.
He was laying some savage blocks.
Absolutely. He was pushing people under cameras in Indianapolis because they pissed him off or because they made him upset. And so when you have a guy like that, he's the type of dude you go to war with each and every week, and he's part of what made the New England Patriots who they were.
It pains me to say this because I hate every team in Boston. But
I hate you too.
Gronkowski is one of my all-time favorite players. Like in any sport. I love the way he played. And even as he declined as a receiving threat, still an excellent receiver, but just not what he was a couple of years ago, he was like you put it, like he would put, it was the savagery of those, some of those hits, those licks he would lay on people. Like the way he would sacrifice his body was you know, like not all hits are created equal.
100%.
You know, like not all quarterback sacks are created equal. I used to love as a kid watching Lawrence Taylor hit guys because it was different. Gronkowski had that kind of physicality as a blocker, as a tight end. So I get it. Doug, I agree with you. It should be easy, but I don't think it is for one reason. Bill Belichick. When you really talk about the void left, you talk about what kind of negative effect will it have on your team. It is true. JuJu Smith-Schuster, in my view, is a legit #1 receiver. If he's your #1, you don't have to look to improve. I think he's going to be a real #1 receiver. He's not AB, but he's a #1. But you do fall off from AB because you fall off from AB. Almost anyone in history falls off from AB, and not just a little bit. AB is better than the elite guys by a lot. You know, a lot of elite guys by a lot. Whoever lived. On the other hand, when you look at the Patriots, what do people say? Why is it so difficult to beat them? They're not the same team any 2 weeks. They prepared to beat you on that Sunday. Belichick makes sure that everyone's in the right position, and he draws up the game plan, and they're a completely different team based on what they need to do. We've seen them play extremely well without Rob Gronkowski, make Super Bowls, go on playoff runs. So is it a hit? Yes, but because of the coach, there will be other targets, etc. Nothing against Mike Tomlin. If I were a football player, I think I'd rather play for him than anyone. He's the kind of guy, it seems to me, you'd like to run through a brick wall for. He's not Belichick. And when you drop off from AB to anyone, you're going to lose something.
Can I ask you a football fan question? Just out of the blue, got a defensive player, offensive player. Are the Patriots the toughest team to play?
Yeah. But they were for me. I think it's different when you play defense. You know, Doug saw them from a little different view. Playing against Tom Brady and understanding that each week it was going to be a different team, and it was more about what you did mentally, right? What you could show them, how you can get them off pre-snap. Those were the things that were hard when you went into a week against Tom Brady and against the New England Patriots, and also understanding that they would be a different team the week you played them than they were the week before or the week before that. So when you get your 4-game snapshot, or when you get your 4-game of videos, you have to go back farther than that because you need to understand who they can be on any given Sunday. And the other part of it is, too, when you go into play the New England Patriots, they feel like they can win every time, right? They feel like they can win every week. And Doug knows this. Not every team you walk into the stadium against feels like they can beat you on that day.
Right.
But you never have that advantage on the Patriots.
I agree. And I think probably the biggest thing for me is the consistency that I see the Patriots play with, right? And when you walk into the stadium against the Patriots, when they come into your stadium, you know exactly what you're going to get. In a sense that you're going to get, it's a fight, right? You don't know what you're going to get in terms of the strategy and the technique, but you know you're going to get a fight. And that's why they are so difficult to go up against, is because every game is going to be a battle. And like he said, they bring the intellect to the game. When you play other teams, it's like you're playing checkers sometimes, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
But when you play the Patriots, you were playing chess. And not just that week, but the 3 weeks prior, the preseason prior, all of these things come into account. And you can't discredit that with the Patriots.
This weekend, there was this huge thing about Ed Reed, who has always been amazing. We actually made our college decisions on the back of a bus on a 2-lane visit. He was like, hey, bro, I'm going to go to Miami. I was like, good, because that means I can go to LSU and actually play. But, and so.
Huge congrats to Ed
Oh,
Reed,
huge
by the way.
congrats.
Much deserved.
And so Bill Belichick.
Best who ever did it?
100%. And so Bill Belichick is talking to Ed Reed and talking about Ed Reed, and a big story going around about him is how he set up this play against Peyton Manning weeks before, right? He set it up weeks before. That's the kind of stuff, though, that the Patriots do all the time. Right, they're
set it up weeks before, meaning he knew Peyton Manning would study
Peyton Manning was
film,
gonna do a certain thing.
So he bid on a fake or wasn't where he was supposed to be a couple times when it didn't matter.
And he did,
so that when it mattered,
he showed the exact same thing, knew where the ball was going, and got to it.
That's next level detail.
But that's what it's like playing the Patriots, right? You're always being set up.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.